So I just want to help you all understand what's going on in our nation right now. Okay. In a fire, you need three components. Otherwise, you cannot have a fire. You must have an ignition. You must have fuel. And you must have oxygen. This is the same process that is played out when it comes to conflicts. And we're going to look at this from a racial perspective in order for you to understand how the administration manipulates the racial narrative in order to fan the flames. Note that they do not have the ability to create a fire in and of themselves. They are just as dependent upon the three elements of fire as man is when he needs to create a fire. Let's look at this. And I hope you understand it. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Oscar Grant, Sean Bell, Eric Garner, these are simply triggers. Okay? They are only triggers. They have no ability to actually cause the fire. They're no more than a flint rock or a spark starter. All they do is start a spark. But the spark in and of itself cannot cause a fire. You need oxygen. Okay? Because here's the thing. If a spark could start a fire, then there should just be just as much outrage at the officer-involved shooting of a black guy in New York where the officer Liang killed the black guy. But because it does not fit into the oxygen, it will only result in, if anything, at most, a protest. Okay? And the inner triangles and the innermost triangle are representative of the most that it will go to. Okay? The ultimate end of it. You cannot get a fire from an Asian cop killing a black man. The reason being is because there's no narrative, there's no oxygen supporting that. So naturally society will look at that as an outlier until there is enough evidence to support a narrative which would ultimately mean that this is in the air. Okay? So you need oxygen. You have the civil rights and slavery narrative, and regardless of what people may think, this will always be a part of our history as a nation. So we shouldn't run from it. We should understand it, but we should not use this to create a fire. We need to properly understand it. Just like we have to breathe oxygen on a daily basis, we have to take into consideration that slavery is a part of our history. Had a dark part, but it also had a very redemptive part. But they're only focused on the dark part. Therefore, we have a civil rights and slavery narrative that will play into this. But even if you have ignition and you have oxygen, you still will not have a fire. So at most, you'll have, once again, a protest. Here is the most important part of this, because this is the only part that actually is within the people's control. We have black unemployment, black morale, black dissatisfaction, black materialism, black family crisis, black identity crisis. You have multiple problems plaguing the psyche of the black person in America today, and this is the fuel. So when you have all three of these intersecting, you then have a fire, which results in riot, revolution. This is what the elites and your president knows. They know that triggers will inevitably come, because triggers are only a function of human interaction. They will always have the narrative that they can play off of, because that is a part of America's history, period. But what they are dependent on is the fuel. They need dissatisfied, unhappy black Americans that are agitated to the point where when a trigger comes, because the oxygen is always present, there will be a fire. Why am I passionate about this? Because this is why these people that you see on the right, along with a host of others, have to keep you dissatisfied. They have to keep you upset. They have to keep you with a low morale, because as long as they have that, they have gas tanks full of fuel so that when the trigger comes, they will be able to fan the flames to create riot and chaos, and ultimately use the riot and chaos to come in sweeping as the firemen when it's all consumed and say, we have to implement something else because it's all burned up. This is where they're going, people. Yes, it is this serious. We have radical elements that have infiltrated the United States. And it is not that difficult to see it when you break it down into these simple terms. So the only thing we can fix is ourselves. We have to address, why do we have such a low morale? Why are we so dissatisfied? Why are we so materialistic? We have to address what is going on in our psyche that is causing us to be agitated to the point where we are willing to come against our fellow man's business and livelihood and destroy it. This is a time-tested and proven strategy for revolution, and they know it. And they know that as long as they can keep the people agitated, they will have as much fuel as they need to incrementally create as much change as they can until they've reached a point where they have amassed enough power where they can issue or they can bring in a final fire that will consume the system and ultimately have them be uplifted as the saviors when they implement a new system. So on the right, stop letting Barry Soetoro, aka Barack Obama II, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Eric Holder, all of the rest, fan the flames. The fuel is the only thing that we can fix and prevent the fire. Folks, this is what is happening in America right now. Right before your eyes. This is happening. Stop letting them fan the flames. We must return to a sense of decency and morality. And for all of the church-going black folks out there, stop this foolishness. What we preach is so much different than what we practice. Would the Lord have us burn down our fellow man's business for this? Your Lord did not die for you to act this way. Stop allowing them to feed off of your discomfort, your dissatisfaction, so that you can burn down the only system that has guaranteed you at least the opportunity for success. Would you rather be in Africa running for your lives from warlords, from disease? Or would you rather be here in America? Well, no, everything is not perfect in America. But I guarantee you there's no other nation that will be able to provide you the lifestyle that you currently have. Even the poor people here in America have it 10 times better than poor people in other nations. So we need to get a grip on this and stop allowing this communist Marxist agitator to fan the flames to cause you to burn down your own house. It's your boy Matt, and I'm signing out.